Hello, my name is Mitch and I draw Blood Force. Blood Force, you say? As an avid consumer of dope-ass comics, your words intrigue me, stranger.
So what is Blood Force? This is Blood Force. Blood Force is a celebration slash send-up of 90s extreme comics. It's itself a comic book. It's drawn by me and also written by me. It's all me. I'm to blame for this. So you may be asking yourself, how do I go about reading Blood Force? And the answer is you open up the description to this video. In there you'll find a link to my Patreon. Subscribe there. That will give you access to all of the Blood Force pages. It'll also give you access to all the process stuff. I usually include stuff like just pencils lying out there. You'll get all the videos. You'll also get some pre-Blood Force stuff. All this just for $3 American. It's an absolute steal. And of course, the more subscribers we get, the closer we get to the goal of publishing Blood Force. But that's a ways off. First thing we got to do, baby steps, is we need subscribers first. So subscribe today, read some Blood Force comics, help get Blood Force out on those shelves. And this certainly sounded like I had a third thing to say, but I don't.
All right, we are back with page 15 of issue 2 of Blood Force. And before you ask, no, Dope Ass Comics is not the name of my studio. Although maybe it should be, but I don't know. We'll worry about that later. I feel like there's probably already something called Dope Ass Comics. I don't know. I could be wrong. But, we're here on page 15, which is a bit of a tweener page, to be honest. This is one that I did mostly on a live stream, which is pretty cool. And unfortunately, I had to, which is not, because I kind of backed myself into a corner a bit with the schedule. You can see that the layout of this page is going to be, it's basically just the 3 panels. So the big top panel, and then this one, the one next to it. This panel that I'm doing the pencils for right now, these got completed first, and, so did the inks. And then I did some loose pencils for panel 2 here, and not even like a loose outline for panel 1. And that was it at the beginning of today. So, seeing as I wanted to have the page done by the end of the day, I kind of had to resort to some drastic measures. But this is, as I said, a tweener page. So if you're a frequent watcher of my Revisit series, and I mean, of course you are, because everybody is. Everybody watches that series. You will have seen the Art of Homage video I did, what was it? I guess it was last Friday, not yesterday. Thinking of how the schedule works. Excuse me. And basically this is, well, what that did is there was a sequence in there by Will Sportatio about how to set up a page. And basically, according to Will, there are 2 things that you need in order to set up a page. You need cool stuff, because that's the artist, and you need filler. That's it. And this page is full of filler. This is all just dudes talking. The whole sequence of events is Blood Force shows up at the Secretariat building for the UN in New York in the Bloodbird, which is their Quinjet-looking thing that I'm drawing right now. And when they get there, there's a protest against the Maxtricians. And they exit the Bloodbird and head towards the UN building. Talking. That's it. That's everything that happens on this page. So there's not a lot there that's fun to draw. And actually quite a few things that are kind of difficult. Setting the scene, you need a fair amount of backgrounds, which is something I've been able to skillfully avoid, I think, up until now. But not so much on this page. And I did my usual thing where I pictured the scene in my head and went, okay, that's the scene. And the scene pictured in my head had some pretty tough camera angles, actually. As we will see, particularly panel 2 here. But first we're going to get this panel out of the way, because this panel is pretty fucking easy. At least this part of it. The thing is, I kept going with it. Which is good, because it looked pretty good. But it did set a tone for the rest of the page. I came up with a bit of a new texture there for the hair, the ponytail. I think it works all right. Actually, I was kind of working off of a Rob model. I was looking a bit through X-Force Volume 2, I think. And I noticed that Shatterstar's ponytail didn't look too bad. We should probably try and copy that a little bit. I didn't look at it when I was drawing it here, so it's pretty much from memory. But yeah, no, it looks pretty good, I think. Yeah, you can't see much of anything that's going on there, can you? That's them exiting from the Bloodbird. From an extreme bird's eye view. From kind of far, well, from pretty far away, actually. Those figures are tiny, as you can see by the size of how big they are next to my hand. It's like half the size of my thumb. How are you going to get any detail in there? And you can see in this one here, I've done the protesters and the buildings in the background. And these are some worked up protesters. The guy right next to Fireburn's head here, he's just like apoplectic. He's in the throat. He's ready to attack, really. And this guy here, he looks a little bit like Milton, actually. Looking at him, didn't think of that at the time. And we're gonna do some kayfabe buildings. So by this point, I think I can come up with some, yeah, you know the basic shapes for how to do buildings in the background. You don't need to put a bunch in there. A bunch of stuff. And then this one here on the far right, I wanted to do a classic image-style checkerboard building. There we go. That's the good stuff. I can't even tell what I'm drawing there. And those all look fine. Like, it's a decent panel, but it's also the easiest panel. This is not. So we've got, yeah. We've got our Blood Force team here, descending on a ramp into a throng of protesters from a pretty severe angle. And from a pretty far distance. So the figures are extremely small, as I said. So this is actually one of the tougher panels I think I've probably drawn. And made the mature decision to get right in there with the figures because, I mean, you can't really do anything. Like, there's so many figures in this freaking panel anyway. You kind of have to. But didn't put it off. Just, okay. We're not going to try doodling around the figures and try to kind of slowly circle in, which I may have done at some point. Just get them out of the way because everything's going to be based off of them. So you might as well. And trying to get some shadows underneath them here. First thought might be a good idea to do just kind of the shapes of shadows. And then if it turns out to be a colored page, which is, you know, the ever-present question, will it be colored? Who knows? In some alternate reality, perhaps. Currently, no. But, you know, if you're just doing a shape, then you can color that a different color. I mean, you could do that anyway without me having to do the thing under them. But then, you know, why even draw the thing then? And eventually I just ended up coloring those in. They actually look pretty good. They look fine. We got Hard here, vaulting himself out from the Bloodbird. This isn't exactly the easy stuff in the panel. There really isn't any easy stuff in the panel. Yeah, that angle's bad. I think I will go in and fix it. Are we gonna... No. See, this is the bit that was done during the live stream. You can see how much of the page was left. And And I did end up finishing this page all in one day, because this is the same day here that I'm doing the commentary. So that's this is, if you ever wonder why I do these live streams, that's why. There are very few circumstances where I sit down and draw for 5 hours straight without a break. But a live stream is one of them. Shadows under hard there look pretty good, actually, and they help to sell these other shadows, which are a little more formless. But yeah, with hard shadows kind of looking correct-ish. It's like, well, it almost tricks your brain. Like, well, those other ones are probably good then, right? And using some reference here from page 15 of the last issue. So a full issue on from here. This is actually, that was the one right before I started filming these. So I guess we've done a full issue's worth on the channel. And it only took, what, 6 months? 7? That's a pretty crazy schedule. It's tight. Okay, so we're working in on the, oh yeah, doing our Jim Lee panels, kind of. On this is all very much just off the top of my head. Get some lines following the shape of the form, get some just like, you know, as obvious panels kind of thing. And just, yeah, hope that everything looks okay when you're done. And luckily, it kind of did. Like, this stuff all looks kind of empty, but, I mean, if you keep piling it on... Yeah, and then I just did some big black areas, and then noodled around them for a little bit. And it's like, okay, those all look pretty good. And then I decided to put a shadow under it because that makes sense. Middle of the day. And I feel like that all of a sudden turned it into a better drawing. Like, that was what that thing needed, was a shadow underneath the Bloodbird. Thickened up the outline a little bit. Puts a bit of a grass texture on the shadow under the ramp there. And, yeah, all of a sudden it kind of works. And then, so these protesters here, I didn't feel the need to get detailed in any way, so I didn't. These are just a mass of people, and I wanted to keep them that way, where they're not really being paid attention to. But you know what's going on with them, right? There's never any question when you glance at this, like, what is this? Massive lines down in the corner. It's like, no, that's people protesting. But, you know, if you just make them all... You don't separate anybody, so nobody becomes noticeable. And you don't give them any detail. You don't give them any shadow. So, yeah, they just become this shape, this framing shape, really. And, yeah, I mean, if you look at this, like, you know, if your eye were to fall on the protesters there, it would go, okay. I mean, actually, it might go... These guys are doing some really silly shit. I don't understand what's going on. But more likely what you'll just kind of go, yep, these are protesters, and then your eyes will return to the main guys there. And so now we're going to get our close-up of protesters. This one's more of a worm's eye view shot. We're kind of right in the thick of the action. And this guy here, I went and gave him 2 hands on the sign, and then, no, he would look better if he had only 1 hand on his sign. And then, yeah, 1 hand away from him, kind of make it a fist. And then, you know what? It looks a little weird the way he's holding that sign right in front of him. So put it off to the side. Now it doesn't look like he's holding the sign. Now it just looks like he's kind of like half invested in this protest and just kind of like got his fist half raised, like, rah, yeah, no, I'm in. Absolutely. And decided to give him the worst haircut, the mullet ponytail. So naturally, I'm using Youngblood as a reference here. And got some Liefeld hair right next to him there. And these two are the most important guys in the throng here because they're going to eat up the most space. But the woman right next to them, she's kind of important too. Now, if you can see the sign here, it says aliens equals bad. And that doesn't change, actually. That never gets smarter. And I got trees, yes. Aliens, no. Go home, birds. And, well, there's one more. Oh, I think it's that one, yeah, like right in, kind of beside the woman's head here, where it says, I have a sign. So there's some somewhat confused and probably kind of dumb people in this crowd. No surprise, really. All right, let's oh, right, we got to get some lettering in. And I had to actually do a little bit of scripting on the fly because I didn't like the script that I had. And then I kind of forgot to ever go back and change it. So I wasn't keeping it, but I hadn't come up with anything else in the meantime. It's always the best way to go, really. And then, yeah, so this sign from this guy that I kind of went out of my way to give him. That was another thing. I put that sign right in the front there as sort of before it said aliens equals bad, as sort of a what, because your first instinct is like, what the fuck? Why are there protesters? And the sign was going to tell people why there were protesters. And then I made the sign stupid, and then I covered the sign with word balloons. So there is no plan, in case you're wondering. None of this is there ever any kind of plan. I have ideas. Sometimes the ideas stick around long enough to actually be put into implementation. It's not as common as you would think, though. We're finally going to get to some inks here. This angle on this dude doesn't look too bad. He's very angular, but that's okay. Oh, we done? Oh, no, we're getting in with the brush. That's right. This was my new brush. I'm not particularly impressed with the outcome so far. Although I didn't have a good idea of what I wanted to do with it either. Like, I didn't do very tight pencils, so you can't exactly blame the brush because you didn't get the results you didn't want, right? Okay, so let's flesh out this hair a bit more. Whoa, that's awful hair. Just the worst. Hatch everything in. You gotta get that white spot on the bottom there? Oh, no, wait, that's the ponytail, right. See, I kind of ended up scribbling over the ponytail a bit, so I actually lost track of it. So, that was a good thing, whiting it back in. I love how fast that hatching fills up. Yeah. And these guys were just wearing, like, windbreakers or probably not leather jackets. That was part of the reason for the reference in the of Youngblood, was finding out what the hell background characters wear in a Liefeld comic. And the answer is short jackets and extremely tight pants. And managed to come up with an interesting looking chrome texture here, kind of by accident. Not sure if I can ever reproduce that, but it's sitting right there, if I ever happen to remember. Probably won't. And now I gotta look directly at the cover for Youngblood #1 to do some Liefeld hair. It feels like it's not quite right. Like it looks a bit too much like a shrub. I think the outline, the shape isn't right. It looks very froish, but I mean, he does draw people with froze. I don't know why, but he keeps drawing froze. And we get some kind of shapes on his back here to, yeah, that could be a back. Doesn't look too bad. And most importantly, these two guys here are now done, taking up the largest portion of the space. That's important. Get some more guys in here. And now I'm going to start. This is like improv, guys. Where like maybe I had a shape and I'm just kind of making the rest of them up as I go along. And then guys kind of off in the distance. But you really want to kind of like build up the density of this crowd here. And I think it ended up looking all right. I'm not sure what that... I think that shape is a sign that was actually turned the right way. Yep, trees, yes. Aliens, no. You tell them, sister. And then this woman here, she had her arms spread out, or her hands rather spread out, and I decided that she looked a bit like she was trying to cast a hex on Blood Force here. So definitely got to play that up. And she's kind of leaning into that hex too, getting a little twisting. It's good stuff. The hair here, yeah, I feel like it would have been very easy to get super sloppy on that hair. And I managed to resist the urge. I don't know that it looks quite right, but I think it looks better than I'm often able to get with that kind of hair. Because I was able to hold back a bit. And another dude here. Oh, fill in some more background, guys. And yeah, I got to get this corner guy here. But I mean, like this crowd is getting to a point where it's pretty much done. That was going to be one of the toughest parts of this, so that's kind of nice. Although obviously the toughest part is going to be the Bloodbird itself. All right. I like letting these crowd guys get a little silly. Why not? If you were totally rational, would you even be here? Probably not, right? I like go home birds as a sign. I kind of want to see that end up, somewhere in real life. Just completely unrelated. Go home birds. All right, here we go. So, time to quit fucking around and just get in there with the inks. Come on, get in there with the inks. I know you don't want to. Actually, I think I took a break here. Okay, I was looking around. Yeah, I did take a short break, but I was looking around because I do have to get the Secretary building in here too. So, like, this is probably a good point to decide, like to figure out, okay, where's the actual building going to be? And this is the building in New York with all the flags flying in front of it for the UN. Kind of probably the most famous of the UN buildings. I think there's several. And yeah, I decided to do some just like vertical lines for texture, but then I wasn't getting enough out of it. So I was like, fuck it, just forget the ruler, just get in there and start hatching. And I kind of like how that ended up looking, actually. Not too bad. And then kind of fake the UN building itself. It's hard to, I don't know. I have difficulty actually representing that thing with pen and ink. And now, so the flags are done. The UN, the Secretariat building's pretty much done. Now let's do a couple more flags. Let's put off drawing the blood bird as long as possible. It was tough, I'll admit. Oh, here we go. Just get in there. Draw your shapes. Do your basic shapes, and then do some shadow, and then noodle. And that's the formula for drawing the blood bird. Or any, large piece of tech, I guess. And it's easiest, well, for me anyway, if I start with some shadow. Because then I can work out from that. Well, yeah, see, like, it takes so long just to get, like a thruster done when you don't know what a thruster is supposed to look like. Or, you're not trying that hard to get a thruster to look like anything. It's like, I don't know, man. Some black, some lines, and then more lines, but different. It's all very technical. Oh, I had an opportunity to get more flags in there. Gotta take that. Alright, back to the goddamn ship. Yeah, this design, it's not a design. I mean, if you saw that page 15 from the previous issue, I just added on shapes until it looked kind of cohesive. So now I get to try and reproduce that at least a little bit. Like, I'm not going to try super hard to be faithful to it or anything. But, like, I want you to at least look at it and go, oh, that's the blood bird. Although, really, like, what else are you going to mistake that for? It's like, oh shit, it's a 747. Oh, it's Blood Force! No, you're not going to do that. Now, figuring out if I want to try and make it a bit more tapered, and it's like, no, stop trying to make it exist in real space. It'll never happen. Stop trying to make real space a thing. And yeah, noodly. Ended up looking all right, and then filling in the gaps. Is that pretty much done? I think it is. But like, not too shabby, and feels like it has some weight to it. Managed to hit kind of the right balance on the noodling. And then some faked out buildings in the back here. And I was gonna leave it like this, but then the people on the live stream were like, "So you're gonna fill in those buildings?" I'm like, "I guess." I may have done it eventually myself as it was, but you guys didn't leave me the option now, did you? That building there, I kind of like how that turned out with the little windows. And then, yeah, just looking up skyscrapers, like, oh, I don't know, like something, give me something different looking. This is fine, sure. And then one over here. Again, something where you can kind of see the design off in the distance. And then one more. And then I think we're just doing some clouds. A bit more background detail. Yep. But like really got some thickness behind those, behind that crowd, I think. Like it kind of filled out very nicely. That might be about it. Now, this thing says we got a few seconds left. Anyway, oh yeah, decided to try and put a little bit of shadow on these windows. But yeah, it looks pretty good, really, considering. I mean, like, when I say considering, I mean considering that none of that was stuff I really wanted to draw, I don't think. But, yeah, fairly, what do you say when you drew something that you think is pretty good? You don't say impressive exactly, but like, no, I thought that page was going to turn out a lot worse than it did. And it did not turn out worse than it did. So good job, me. All right. Next page is the last of the tweener pages in this issue, actually, I think. And even then, it's not going to be as intensive as this one. There'll probably be like a panel or two where I need a background, but seeing as how this page here established the background so much, it's not necessary to go overboard with them in the later pages. And, the Bloodbird's not even going to be a part of it. I'll show the crowd a little bit, but they don't need to have any detail. So that should be the last hard part of the issue. Hopefully. Now that I've said that, probably not going to be, but that's okay. That's a problem for 4 weeks from now when I'm doing page 20 or whatever. But that's going to do it for this one. Thanks very much for watching this. If you like this video, please hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notifications, go over to my Twitter, follow me there. More importantly, go over to my Patreon and subscribe there because that's where these Blood Force pages ended up. Past tense, absolutely. That's where these Blood Force pages end up. And as well as all of these videos, usually as soon as I upload them, so that's probably a week or two in advance. And also all the process stuff. So some of the lead up to Blood Force, but also some previously unpublished projects, that kind of thing. So it's actually turning into a pretty good storehouse of content, which is neat. But not talking about that at the moment, because you're just going to go right over there and subscribe anyway. So we're talking about the video. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.